Hey, what's up? This is Casey with another episode of the show I don't have a name for. Today's t-shirt of the day is the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. King Arthur comes up, the Black Knight challenges him to a fight. King Arthur chops his arm off, and the Black Knight just says, "'Tis but a scratch." And that's kind of how I've been feeling in my life lately. I get knocked down and just kind of get dust myself up off and get back up again and try and keep going. Today it's about 1 a.m. 12/29 2019, which means we're a few days away from the new year, which means we're a few days away from the new decade, which means we're a couple days away from my birthday. So it's gotten me thinking about my birthday and something that's been going on in my life, which I think I have a funny relationship with, is death. So, uh, when I was really young, let's say 3 or 4 or 5, I had an allergic reaction to something. I think it was something on a pizza. My mom says it isn't true, but I don't know if I was made this up as something as a kid or whatever. Fast forward until December 30th, 1999. So I was on a swim team training trip. And since it was the day before my birthday, the guys let me pick where we were going to eat. So I decided we were going to eat at my favorite restaurant. So we ate at Taco Bell. And I ended up getting food poisoning so bad that I was hallucinating. And if you remember, or if you were even alive, or if you've done any homework, in 1999, people thought that like the millennium was gonna change everything, or the millennium virus was gonna shut down all the nuclear power plants. And I thought for some reason I was the first thing to catch it. That's how bad I was hallucinating. Um, so I was positive that I was dying. I couldn't figure out how to use a phone. I couldn't figure out any of this stuff. Um, and I just puked and vomit, crapped everywhere. It was disgusting. You know, your average Taco Bell experience. So the next year, 2 years later, was September 11th, 2001, and I was living in New York. I woke up. My roommate said, "Did you hear that two the twin towers had been hit by airplanes?" And I thought somebody had just, like, a prop plane or something. Somebody was drunk and accidentally like flew into it, or a wind took somebody into it, and it was a small plane. I didn't realize it was a giant jetliner. Um, but I ended up going to class anyway. I never skipped a class once in university. And then all of a sudden, the security guard came in and was like, "You got to get out of here. We're under terrorist attack. You can't be in here right now. You've got to leave." So I ended up leaving, and I spent most of the day trying to find the rest of the NYU swim team. I ran into an ex-girlfriend who I'm pretty sure wanted me dead, except for that day. She was like, "You can't be out there. Like, there's gas. You don't know who's going to stab you. There's supposed to be other bombs. There's supposed to be other planes." And after I found the swim team, we met up in my apartment. We ended up just getting drunk and having we figured we were all going to get blown up the next day. So, we talked to our parents, and then we're like, "Okay, well, let's go to the bar and hopefully have fun for the last day of our lives." Um, 7 years later, was August 15th, 2008. I was at two of my best friends were getting married. They, some of us decided to go swimming. I saw a boat dock. I took a running dive off the boat dock and um, didn't pay attention to the sign that said no diving. So I dove into some water that was about that deep. I hit my head, broke this bone in my neck, and almost drowned in this much water. And I thought I was going to be on like the top 10 dumbest people, dying, which I should have been, the NYU swim team captain drowns in a puddle of water, which, was very close to happening. I went to the ER. I had, depending on who you talk to, I almost died 3 or 4 more times in the hospitals. And then a couple more times I had some extracurricular chemical experiences. It kind of opened my mind. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a near death experience, but uh, enlightening, we'll say. But as for life and death and stuff, teenage years, whatever. In my 20s, it really opened my life up because I moved from North Dakota to South Dakota to South Dakota to Colorado to New York. And in New York City, I made some of the best friends in the world. Honestly, it was the first time I really talked to girls, more or less. I had my first girlfriend. Yeah, it's sort of true. Um, I worked for Marvel Comics. I knew I wanted to be a writer. I started in my 20s. I started writing a lot more. I got published in random blogs, and I worked in a newspaper. I worked in a magazine. I worked in other newspapers and all this other stuff. My 29th, or about a minute or 2 or 3 or 4 before I turned 30, one of my friends just said, before I turned 30, one of my friends told me, look, it's just a number. Don't worry about it. And I was going through some tough times. I'd been laid off from my magazine job, and I was working at a bar, and I wasn't really happy with my place in life. So when I turned 30, I decided I was going to change my life, and I didn't know how. So I ended up going to Korea, becoming a teacher, being a good teacher. I kept writing more and more and more. I ended up publishing 4 different textbooks, finished some novels and some screenplays. Nobody's bought those or published those yet, but sooner or later, let's hope. And all kinds of other great stuff. What are my 40s gonna bring? I don't know. Hopefully somebody buys these novels or screenplays. Am I gonna settle down? Am I gonna meet the special somebody? I don't know. Hopefully, who knows? Thanks for being there for me, all these years, all these decades. Hopefully the 2020s are a wonderful year for everybody. And you're the best. And I wish you the happiest New Year's, and leave a comment or something. I don't know. Thanks.